another video, and in today's video we have ranking every single WrestleMania main event. Now, obviously, you can already see we put some in that haven't seen. Maybe we have seen some of these, but it's just something that we can't remember too well, or we don't have too fond of memories of. So we're starting from WrestleMania in 1996. I think this is WrestleMania 12. And yeah, ready to get into things?
Yeah, like you said, I have seen literally all of these WrestleManias, or at least majority of it. But yeah, I don't recollect much of it, and I don't really plan on going back to watch it, at least right now. But yeah.
Alright, we're gonna kick things off. Like I said, 1996 WrestleMania 12. Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart in the Hour Iron Man match. Now, this one I have seen. I don't think I've seen the entire match, but I have seen the majority, I want to say. And for me, early ranking is probably a pretty good or even amazing.
Yeah, I'd probably put it in amazing, just because it's two of the greatest of all time. Shawn Michaels is one of the greatest just at in-ring, obviously, but he's also one of the greatest sellers of all time. Great promo, everything, as well as Bret Hart. He does all of that just as good. And it was just a match that everyone remembers. Even just the entrance from Shawn Michaels, the entrance from Bret Hart is always amazing. The theme song rings bells when you hear that. As a wrestling fan, you know where that comes from, even when a Natty comes out, or Jim Hart, or whoever it might have been. But yeah, I put it amazing.
All right. Next up, we have Sid Vicious versus Undertaker. This was for the World Champion, I believe. Match I haven't seen, but I do think that people don't really like this match too much, but I'll let you kind of decide.
Yeah, don't have, once again, too much of a recollection from this match. This will be the last one where we'll say that on. But yeah, I'm probably going to put this in D, kind of lame. Rest in peace to Psycho Sid, though.
Next up, we have a box office match that happened. We had Shawn Michaels versus Stone Cold with Mike Tyson as a special guest referee. This was iconic. I believe I've seen this match, and for me, I'd probably put in like a pretty good match.
Yeah, I'm debating if I want to go for A, because it was a important match just for Stone Cold in general. This is the lead up to who he really became to be with Stone Cold, leading up into the Attitude Era, of course. But yeah, I think pretty good. Yeah, I'd probably say pretty good is probably a better spot for it.
All right. Next up, we have the first installment of Rock versus Stone Cold. What do you think about this one?
This one, I'm gonna go C tier. I didn't really like the first. I feel like the second one, which we'll obviously get into in a minute, was their better one. And yeah, so I think I'm gonna go C tier for this one.
Yeah, this time it wasn't too big of a deal for these two guys. There's obviously the next future guys, but when they had that second match, different ball game.
Yeah, by the time we get to that second one, there was so much storytelling that led up to it with him and Vince and the whole corporation and just everything involved with that.
Next up, WrestleMania 2000, we have the Fatal 4-Way. I believe it is Mick Foley, Triple H, Big Show, and The Rock, with McMahon in every corner. I believe I've seen, again, a little bit of this, and I didn't really like it for what I did see, but what about you?
Yeah, I wouldn't put it in the Psycho Sid category, but I'd probably put it in C tier. It really just gets kind of dogged on more than it should be just because of the McMahon thing in every corner. However, yeah, actually, nah, just put it in kind of lame. Okay. I feel like kind of lame might be the better place for it, whatever.
Next up, I have already spotted in mind for this one. It is Rock vs. Stone Cold, WrestleMania 17, one of the best WrestleManias of all time, ended with one of the best matches of all time. For me, this is an easy S.
Yeah, I'm going to go S tier as well. One of my favorite WrestleManias, one of my favorite matches. And then moving on to our next one, WrestleMania 18. Yeah, obviously this is probably more so known for The Rock and Hogan having their match or their whatever it was. But yeah, it's probably more so known for that than the actual main event. Probably one of the few times in WrestleMania history that's a thing. But yeah, this one
For me, I'm kind of thinking either a B or a C. Leaning more towards the C just because I'm knocking it down at least a few points just because it's not the real main event. It was a fake main event. and the match itself wasn't all that good. There was a few good spots, but for me, nothing too crazy to really put in one of those upper tiers.
Yeah, this is the thing. The feud is one of my favorite feuds of all time. However, this isn't my favorite match of the feud.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I could agree and go either B or C, whichever one you're more comfortable with. I feel like it's fine. I'm cool with either one. I think.
I think I like the build and like the story of the Mike Tyson one a little bit more. So I think this is good for me. Next up, though, we have Toronto WrestleMania 19. Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar, in a pretty great match. I really enjoyed this one. What about you, though?
Yeah, this is definitely one of the bigger matches. The start of Brock Lesnar's kind of just trajectory to just complete stardom, and just being the monster that he's known as today. Kurt Angle, obviously one of the greatest of all time. I think that's pretty much in everyone's kind of top 10, 15 list. Kurt Angle is somewhere on there. But yeah, I think for this one, probably Brock Lesnar's better matches of his career. Probably his best WrestleMania match of his career, maybe. But probably A tier, maybe B.
Yeah, I would, because S, it's definitely an S just because matches isn't that great, and also I want to leave that S for just certain matches. A, I don't think it's as good as Shawn and Brett.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of leaning more. It's about on the same level, if not a little bit better than the Tyson Shawn Michaels match for me.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, that's probably about correct. I do really like it. Like I said, probably one of Brock's is his best WrestleMania match. We'll see as we go on with this list, I guess.
Next up, though, one of my favorites, the triple threat at WrestleMania 20: Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Chris Benoit. Now, before I figured out what happened with Chris Benoit, he was one of my favorites, and the fact that he won in such a big night, I was super happy just because he was really good, one of my favorites, and then everything I found out about him. But what do you think about this match?
Yeah, Chris Benoit was one of my favorites of all time. At the time, we love Chris Benoit. His entrance music, his gear, just his in-ring stuff, his promos, the way he worked just everywhere on the ECW SmackDown. He did everything. However, all the stuff happened, whatever. But I will still put this in A tier. Amazing match. 3 of my favorites of all time, all in one match. I'm always gonna kind of put that a little bit higher just based off that.
Yeah, this is triple threat matches done perfectly, in my opinion. So yeah, definitely like the A spot. Next up, though, Batista and Triple H. What do you have for this one?
So I've never really been a big Batista guy. Really, just one of those people who I haven't really ever been a huge fan of. However, I am a huge fan of Triple H, and I did love the storyline between the two. I love the fact that Triple H could never beat Batista. I love the evolution turn and just everything that happened within that. But yeah, I'd probably put this one probably right where we put the last Triple H match in C tier.
Yeah, I can agree with that. This one, I don't think there's too much that happened in this match that's like, oh my god, this is an insane match. But I do agree the story was definitely probably the carry job for this match.
Yeah.
Next up, though, we have John Cena's first WrestleMania event versus Triple H, a guy we're going to see a lot. And, but yeah, pretty solid match. This one, I think, is obviously a big moment for Cena, obviously going in as the champion, I believe, and then losing to Triple H. But yeah, I don't think this is one of the upper tiers, but definitely around that middle.
Yeah, I mean, I rewatched this one pretty recently, maybe a week or two ago. And yeah, this was probably one of my favorite John Cena WrestleMania matches, in my opinion, at least. Obviously, I'm a little biased. I love Triple H. John Cena is awesome as well. Greatest entrances as well happened on this one for both of them. I would probably go A, but I could see B as well, just because I feel like, in-ring wise, it may not be a S tier 5-star Dave Meltzer classic. However, just kind of everything surrounding it, the story around it, the entrance, the in-ring that they did put on, and just the storytelling was just, I feel like, worthy of lifting it a little bit.
Yeah, I'll probably put it more towards B because I think that A tier The two matches there, I think, are just better than what the Cena Triple H match was. So yeah, I'll probably have to put it in a B.
Yeah, I'd be down for that for sure.
Next up, Shawn Michaels versus John Cena, back-to-back main events for John Cena. This one I do enjoy more than the Triple H match, but I don't know if it's enough to get to that next tier.
Yeah, I 100% agree. This is gonna be my favorite John Cena WrestleMania match. It's probably gonna be the fact for a lot of Shawn Michaels matches that's my favorite WrestleMania match, because Shawn Michaels is one of the GOATs as well. But yeah, I put it in the same tier. Love Shawn Michaels, love John Cena. I feel like, although we kind of did say that for the last one with Triple H, I feel like this was really the one that kind of put over Cena. Obviously, he was already huge and everything was kind of looking good for him at the time, but I feel like this big win kind of cemented that he was going to be here for a long time.
Yeah. Next up, though, we have WrestleMania 24, Edge vs. Undertaker. Now, this one is another case of potential wrong main events. We also have Flair and Shawn Michaels on this card in the triple threat between Cena or in a Triple H. But this one of my favorite Undertaker WrestleMania matches ever. So for me, it's probably going to be an A, but I can maybe understand a B.
Yeah, I think I would personally go B, just because, we got some Undertaker matches coming up that's going to take some higher tiers. But yeah, this was definitely a good match, especially for Edge. It was one of the known things that he was supposed to win this match and end the streak and defeat The Undertaker. But Edge didn't want to do it. He kind of turned all of it down, and turned out for the better for sure.
Yeah. Next up, now we're getting to my peak of wrestling fandom, and this is Triple H versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania 25. Definitely another case of wrong main events. This was the first Shawn Michaels Undertaker. What was he next year? But for this one, I'm honestly going to put it probably D, just because I don't really like this match at all. And again, it goes down a notch or two just because it was the wrong main event.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it D. I'd still put it C. This is one of my this is like probably a top 3 WrestleMania for me. However, like you said, the main event was the wrong one. Definitely should have been Shawn and Undertaker. But I think C is maybe a little bit more appropriate. I don't think it's that bad to put it on the McMahon of every corner level.
All right. Next up, though, like as I mentioned, we have Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker, career versus streak. For me, this is an easy S.
Yeah, for sure, F tier. One of the worst matches. No, obviously S tier. One of the greatest main events of all time. One of the greatest stories. Career versus streak. Obviously, career was never ended, but it was just awesome to see just Shawn Michaels go out the way he did at the time, at least, and it felt like the Sting moment that we got in 2024. It's like, oh, he went out on his own terms. However, obviously he came back, but yeah, it felt good at the moment. And Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels was just such a big match that just had to be done at a WrestleMania stage.
Next up, though, we have WrestleMania 27 now with John Cena versus The Miz. Now, this one could be potential for the first F, maybe a D, but this one definitely isn't my favorite by any means. Plus, it was just only there just because they wanted to set up Cena and The Rock. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like maybe our D tier should go down to F, and then this one should be the first D.
Okay.
I feel like maybe that should be, because I don't think it's as bad as McMahon in every corner. However, it is, not great. So I feel like maybe we should just move them down to F. Maybe that would make a little bit more sense, and then we move this to D.
Okay.
I feel like that looks a little, better here.
All right. Next up, though, like I mentioned, the first time or the last time in the lifetime, John Cena versus The Rock. Pretty solid match. However, the fact that they did another one the year later after calling this a once-in-a-lifetime match definitely kind of made this match even worse in my opinion. Plus, Rock became champion, and it wasn't, for me as a Cena fan, wasn't a huge fan of.
And now here in 2025, potential to maybe see this match happen again at some point during his retirement. But yeah, I didn't like either Cena or Rock match. I didn't like either Cena or Rock build. This really wasn't my cup of tea. We're heading into a time where I stopped watching wrestling and stuff like that. But I'll probably put it either B or C. Either one is fine with me. I think I'll let you kind of decide because you were more of a fan during this era.
Yeah, I'll probably put in C just because the second match to me is way better. So yeah, just match didn't do too much for me.
And speaking of the second match, it's the next very year, even though it was once in a lifetime.
Yeah, this was set up the very next night. So definitely was like, okay, so we did all this for nothing. But like I said, this is way better. Maybe this is just a biased Cena fan talking, but I definitely like this match way more. I think they hit their spots a little bit more and just they did more of the classics instead of maybe trying to switch things up, or maybe kind of even the opposite even. But for me, probably it goes a tier above. That's B tier.
Yeah, I'm down with that for sure.
Next up, though, one of my personal favorites of all time, Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, Batista. My heart wants to put this in S, but I can maybe understand it at A and a B. But yeah, I think overall this is a very great match.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I guess.
Just for the moment, it's one of the biggest moments of all time in WrestleMania. Still gets played, even though the man is not in the company anymore.
Yeah, looking at the rest of these matches, let's put it in S.
Okay.
I think that is fine just because the moment, just even though the bell was just rung by the time the cool stuff happened, I think that it deserves it.
Next up, we got WrestleMania 31. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, first of many, unfortunately. And this is pretty much a match that gets saved by the very ending with Seth Rollins' amazing cash-in at Mania to win the belts of the heist of the century.
Yeah, one of the greatest cash-ins of all time with Seth Rollins here. Big star-making moment for him, big single star-making moment for him. But yeah, amazing cash-in. Like you said, that saved it, but how much does it save it? I don't know. I'm leaning...
I'm either a D or C, to be honest.
Yeah, I wanted to say D, but I feel like that might have been, maybe that's a little too harsh, but I don't know.
So let's put it at C because it would have been D without the cash-in, pretty much.
Sure, yeah. But yeah, the match itself obviously wasn't great. The Seth Rollins cash-in saved it. And then obviously just everything moving forward from Seth Rollins was, some of the best version of Seth Rollins, arguably.
Yeah. Next up, we got Triple H versus Roman Reigns, and Triple H's last main event of WrestleMania, I do believe. And yeah, this one, again, doesn't do too well. This is the last WrestleMania I think I did watch before taking a break. So yeah, for this one, it's probably going to go in another Roman Reigns tier with either C or maybe put him in D now.
Yeah, I'll put it in C, I think. Actually, no, it'll go D. This wasn't great. It was good for Roman, obviously. He main evented 2 in a row, Triple H and Brock Lesnar. That's huge for him to, have that accolade at the time. However, knowing what we know now in hindsight, I don't think it was necessary at all.
Yeah. But yeah, next up, another match that could definitely be said to not be necessary is Roman Reigns again main eventing, but this time versus The Undertaker. Now, for me, this is going to be very low just because it was an Undertaker that I think even him himself says he kind of wish he didn't do this match. Plus, Roman beating him didn't do anything for either man. Roman was already the top guy in the company. Undertaker was the Undertaker. He already lost, so it didn't really matter if he won anyway.
Yeah, it was a mess of a match. It was a mess of a booking decision. He should have beat him. There was so many things going on with this match, and it just didn't work out the way I think any wrestling fan at the time wanted it to go. But yeah, I think D tier is probably where I put it. If you want to put it F, whatever, but yeah.
I think unfortunately I have to put it F just because expectations weren't even high, but they didn't even meet the lower expectations. And again, main eventing, we have Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar in a rematch from they did 2 years prior or 3 years prior in New Orleans. Again, none of the Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns matches have been great, so this is probably another D or C tier for me.
Yeah, I think this one was better than Roman Undertaker by quite a bit, in my opinion. So I think I'll put this one in D tier.
Alright. Then next up, a big main event that set a pretty much a big change down wrestling history, and at least WWE history, and that is the first women's main event triple threat between Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair. Three of the biggest names that the company had to offer for the time, and yeah, they definitely delivered. Maybe a case of wrong decision making, because I believe Charlotte wins this match. But what do you think?
Yeah, I've never been a Ronda fan. Not huge on Charlotte. But yeah, I guess just for the importance of the match, that has to boost it a little bit, just as we did for the Daniel Bryan, and a few others as well. Because this did lead to yet another women's match, which we're gonna get into in a moment, of course. But I think probably pretty good. B tier.
Yeah, I was gonna say C, but with the importance of the match, it goes up to B.
Yeah, I think just Charlotte. It made all these women stars at the end of the day. Obviously, they were already kind of stars anyway. However, this kind of bumped them up a notch, and we got to the point where we are nowadays, where women are almost on the same level as the men. Like they're getting to the levels such as like the Rhea Ripleys and all of that.
All right, but yeah. Next up, we have the COVID WrestleMania, and that is Undertaker versus AJ Styles, the first of the two-night main events. This one, obviously, is harder to grade because it's not really a wrestling match. It's more of the cinematic matches, but where would you put it at?
Yeah, it's one of those things, again, where it's the moment of the Undertaker retiring, his final match. It's cool for AJ to get that moment as well. The way it happened, how the Undertaker didn't know it was going to be his final match, and then kind of halfway through it or so, he kind of decided it was going to be. But yeah, I think the story behind it, him retiring, it being his final match, I think that boosts it a little bit. So I think B or C would probably be where I'd put it.
Yeah, I was probably going to put a B. I think just for AJ to also have that big moment. Obviously, he's already been in the company for a few years at this time, but this was kind of like obviously a huge moment just because Undertaker's retiring. Not many people can say they did that. No one can say besides him. So, yeah. Next up, night 2 main event of that same WrestleMania, Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar. Drew McIntyre wins his world champion in front of nobody, which would go on to be a storyline art piece for him for the rest of his career, or at least what we've seen so far.
Yeah, we're seeing it in 2024 and 2025 continuing on. But yeah, I mean, this was a star-making moment for Drew. It just happened at the wrong way, at the wrong time, with no crowd. So it just sucks the way it happened. But it was a star-making performance from him and run from him. Love to see everything that happened to progress him from here to where he is today, where he's main eventing versus CM Punk and all kinds of really cool stuff that he's doing, as well as going into another WrestleMania. But I think wasn't great at all, but
I'm thinking either a D or a C.
Yeah, I think if the Roman and Brock match was D, I feel like this one is on the same level as that.
Okay, yeah, I can get behind that. But next up, one to change the mood, the second women's main event, Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair. For me, this is gonna be either A or S. Probably A, just because I don't think it's on the level of the S tiers. But yeah, one of my favorite WrestleMania matches of all time.
Yeah, this is just an amazing match. Two of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time. In my opinion, at least, I love Bianca Belair. I feel like she is maybe the best right now. She just does everything perfectly, in my opinion. But Sasha is, if she's not number 1, she's number 2, and there's nothing wrong with being number 2 greatest of all time. But yeah, I think I'll go A tier. You can't really deny it, honestly.
Yeah, S tier is those special matches, and unfortunately it doesn't hit that mark just yet. Maybe in a few years that changes, but until then, that's where I put it for now. Next up, we have Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns, and Edge, the triple threat main event. Now this one is probably Roman Reigns' best main event, so for me, I'm probably thinking of B. Yeah,
well, it's going to be his second one, but yes, this is going to be B tier for me as well. The second best one, though.
Next up, a classic that no one really expected to be as good as it was. That is Stone Cold versus Kevin Owens, which was a great moment for Kevin Owens, having the honor to wrestle Stone Cold in what could be and what might be his last match ever. Is something that is so cool for Kevin Owens.
Yeah, it was an amazing moment, especially just seeing Stone Cold actually go through and take those bumps, getting suplex onto the concrete floor in the crowd area, on the stage. The Stone Cold stunners that, obviously has to hurt him at his age, just taking those bumps from himself. But yeah, definitely. I don't know if I want to put it A tier or if I'm ranking it too high doing that because of what it is. Because I do love the moment. It's an amazing. The match is amazing. At the end of the day, the match is amazing. I don't know. If it's not A, it has to be B, I think.
Yeah, for me, I was gonna put it probably B, just because it's not on that match quality wise. Obviously, it's hard to have as good a match as some of these other ones with an aging Stone Cold. But Kevin Owens did what he could to make him look as good as he did, and to each his own. Stone Cold looked great in the match as well. So for me, I would probably have to put it B.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And then next up, we have Brock versus Roman once again for I believe the third or fourth time at this point, and thankfully it's the last one. But yeah, what do you think this one goes?
Yeah, this is just gonna go to D, kind of lame at this point. I feel like the wrong main event was here in the first place, and yeah, just tired of it at this point, I guess is the way to put it.
Yeah. And next up, these next four are the big hitters and some of my favorite matches of all time. And we're going to start off with the tag team match that main evented Night 1 of WrestleMania 39. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn versus the Usos. Easily, for me, top two tiers. Party wants to even put it S.
Yeah, one of my favorite WrestleManias. I'll arguably want to put it S as well, but I think A is where it's going to have to go. I had a lot of fun with this match. However, I think I don't think it quite meets that S tier.
Yeah. Okay, I guess. But night 2 main event: Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. Time where Cody doesn't win, doesn't finish the story. For me, again, this is probably either A or S again, just because the story going into it was amazing, and then the moment where he doesn't finish the story was also amazing, but in a bad way.
Yeah, in my opinion, I would probably put it B tier, but I could definitely see A tier. I think that's perfectly fine as well. Just based off of the story alone, it should arguably be an A tier.
Yeah. And next up, we have the main event of last year's WrestleMania 40. Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns and The Rock. What do you think about this one?
I mean, this was really good. Obviously, this is one of the greatest builds of all time. So taking that into account, it gets boosted. The people in the match felt like it was the right people. Like Seth Rollins felt like the right guy to kind of take that spot. I don't know who would have done a better job than what he did. But yeah, I think this has to be probably an A tier. The storytelling was amazing. Just the way The Rock kind of made the match feel different by taking the rules out and telling the referee what to do and moving him around like he was the referee kind of. I feel like this is probably A tier as well.
Yeah, since we put the Cody and Roman first match in A tier, I think this one kind of has to go because it's kind of the same thing where the match quality might not have been as good, but the story going into it was amazing. And last but not least, we have Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, WrestleMania Night 2. And yeah, this was, for me, one of my favorite matches of all time. It's an overbooked mess, I agree. However, it is a beautiful mess. And yeah, for me, this is easily a top 2. For me, at least an S.
Yeah, Roman's best match, Roman's best opponent. This is Cody's best opponent. This is everything right here. This is the definition of WWE wrestling right here, and WWE storytelling. If you want to have somebody sit down and watch, a 6-month build from January to WrestleMania, then, this is probably the few months that you want to have somebody watch.
Yeah. But yeah, that is our tier list. Obviously, we have some matches that we didn't rank, but maybe sometime down the line, if we do a part 2 somehow, we add these matches in. But anything you would probably change?
Honestly, I was looking at this earlier. I'd probably move John Cena, Shawn Michaels up to A, honestly. I feel like I feel like they might deserve that because that was just a great match, especially for Shawn Michaels at the time.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. I agree, it's one of my favorite Cena matches of his WrestleMania career. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you haven't made it already, we'll be doing daily uploads for all of March and to the end of pretty much January or April. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.